again. So now we're going to be talking about competitive rivalry and understanding how competitors work in terms of looking at each other in the marketplace. So we're going to define competitors, competitive rivalry, competitive behavior, and competitive dynamics. We're going to then look at describing market commonality and resource similarity as the building blocks of a competitor analysis. And then we're going to explain the awareness, motivation, and ability of organizations as drivers of competitive behavior. So first of all, to start with our definitions. Competitors are defined as firms that are operating in the same market, offering similar products and targeting similar customers. So you remember from previous modules, we've spoken about the idea of looking at disparate segments, of geographic, of socioeconomic, of political, legal, and different areas of and different types of people that form your customers. So you can see here examples in pairs such as Qantas and Virgin, HSBC or Commonwealth Bank, Woolworths, Coles or Aldi. To define competitive rivalry, we looked at we define it as the ongoing set of competitive actions that occur between competitors as they contend to attain an advantage. We then look at competitive rivalry, which is the ongoing set of competitive actions that occur between different competitors as they contend in an advantageous market position, i.e. greater market returns, or a competitive, i.e. a competitive advantage. The third definition then is competitive behavior. So this is a set of competitive actions and responses, which we've spoken about, that the firm takes in order to build or defend the competitive advantage that it's got and or improve its market position. So looking at a model of competitive rivalry, you can see figure 5.2 out of the text looks at how the drivers of competitive behavior are used in a competitor analysis to then determine the inter-firm rivalry action and response that is required, as well as the rate, and the ability for action and response from your organization, as well as other organizations to respond to what you're doing, and the outcomes of inter-firm rivalry. And you can see this is all looped back together with feedback because it is a continuous cycle. So in terms of a competitor analysis, we need to look at two things. The first being market commonality. So this is concerned with a number of markets and in which the firm and competitors are jointly involved, and to the degree of the importance of the individual markets to each, the firm and the competitor. So how many players are there in the market? Is it a highly saturated market? Are there only one or two? Are we part of a monopoly or duopoly or oligopoly? And what does the competitive rivalry look like between the organizations? We also need to look at resource similarity. So this is the extent to which firms' tangible and intangible resources, which you already understand, are comparable to a competitor's tangible and intangible resources in both type of resource as well as the amount they have. We then need to look at strategic and tactical actions. So the first is what we call a competitive action. So this is either a strategic or tactical action that one organization takes to build or defend its competitive advantage, i.e. a first mover. We then have a competitive response. So a strategic or tactical action that another firm or another player in the industry takes to counter the effects of the first mover. And you can call this a second mover in this instance. The third then is a strategic action or response. And this is actually a market-based move that involves a significant commitment of organizational resources and is often difficult to implement. So this is where one organization decides to change from a whole product line or away from a different market or service and try and target a different sector. The fourth then is a tactical action or response. And these are often quick. And these are often taken to fine tune a strategy and are really quick in maneuvers. It involves fewer resources and quite easy to, and it's quite often easy to implement and or to reverse. You can see strategic actions in big shifts, things like organizations moving to mobile devices. You look at Nokia, for example, moving from your brick type telephone to a smartphone. You look at tactical responses as being something like one organization implementing a different camera in their phone as to another. The last thing we need to think about is the likelihood of attack and the likelihood of response. So what, in terms of the nature of the industry, is the likelihood that you, as an organization, are going to make a first move? Obviously, you have first mover incentives, particularly if your organizational size is relatively small and you can have a quality introduction into the market. But you then also run the risk of what happens if the product fails or what happens if the market doesn't like it. We also need to think about the likelihood of response. So once you have a competitive action that's been taken, what type of competitive action or reaction are you going to take? What is the reputation of the second individual or the second organization? And what dependence are you happy to have on the market that they'll shift to your product, even if there's one already out there?